April 2019. Picture this with me for a moment. You're standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon. Not the tourist viewpoints with their safety rails and gift shops. No, you're in the remote Toroip region, where the earth splits open like a wound, where the silence is so complete it presses against your eardrums, where the rock formations look alien under the desert sun. There's a reason indigenous peoples considered certain areas sacred, forbidden, a reason they had stories about places where the earth listens. This canyon, it remembers things. And what I'm about to tell you is not a legend. 3 friends, experienced hikers, the kind of people who plan everything twice, who know what they're doing. On April 18, 2019, they walked into that wilderness with laughter in their throats and adventure in their hearts. 48 hours later, gone. Not lost. Not injured on some trail waiting for rescue. Gone. As if the earth had opened beneath their feet and swallowed them whole, then sealed itself shut. For nearly 6 years, hundreds of people searched. Drones, dogs, volunteers walking shoulder to shoulder calling names that echoed back empty. They found almost nothing. Just fragments. Just questions. And then, in January 2025, a photographer stumbled onto something in those canyons that would crack this case wide open. What he found wasn't just evidence. It was a warning. This is the story of what happened at Echo Mesa. And I need to warn you, by the end, you're going to look at canyons differently. You're going to understand why locals whisper about certain trails. Why some places, no matter how beautiful, should never be visited alone. Let me take you back to where it all began. First, you need to meet them, because these weren't just statistics. These were real people with real lives. Sloan Winters, 27 years old, landscape architect. Picture a woman who could spend hours studying the way shadows fell across desert rock, who noticed details everyone else missed. Her colleagues joked that she could get lost in a parking lot because she'd stop to photograph the way light hit the pavement. She'd summit peaks across 3 continents, spend summers in the Rockies. This woman knew the outdoors. She wasn't careless. Cordelia Hayes, 23, environmental biology student. One of those people whose enthusiasm was infectious, who could make identifying plant species sound like the most exciting thing in the world. She grew up in Colorado. Hiking wasn't a hobby for Cordelia. It was in her blood. She could identify animal tracks in the dust, read weather patterns in cloud formations, and she never, ever panicked. And Rowan Blackwell, 26, travel vlogger and their videographer. She'd been documenting adventure travel since college, building a following that loved her authentic approach to wilderness exploration. Her viewers described her as fearless but thoughtful. She'd climb a cliff face, but she'd also spend 20 minutes explaining the geology. She was planning to turn their YouTube channel into a documentary series. Had meetings scheduled with production companies in Los Angeles the week after this trip. Together, they ran Trail 3, a YouTube channel that had grown from weekend hiking vlogs to serious documentary-style explorations of America's most remote wilderness areas. Their followers, over 300,000 of them, loved how they balanced breathtaking cinematography with genuine survival knowledge. These weren't Instagram influencers posing for photos. These were women who understood the wilderness, respected it, and knew when to turn back. Which is what makes what happened next so absolutely chilling. April 17, 2019. Phoenix, Arizona. Security footage from a REI store shows them doing final gear checks, backpacks, climbing equipment, that particular energy people have when they're about to escape civilization for a weekend. Cordelia's testing a new water filtration system. Sloan's examining topographical maps. Rowan's checking camera batteries. They load up their gray Toyota 4Runner. The video shows them leaving the parking lot. Rowan at the wheel, still talking, still laughing. Just normal people doing normal things. There's no ominous music in real life. No warning signs. Just three friends excited about the weekend ahead. They drive north toward the Grand Canyon's north rim, then west toward Toroib. It's a long drive, over 4 hours, through landscape that grows progressively more isolated, more ancient, more unforgiving. They arrive at the Bureau of Land Management access gate that evening. Park their vehicle. Check their permits. Send one last text to Sloane's sister. Going dark for a few days. See you Sunday night. The message shows as delivered at 6:34 p.m. And here's where it gets poignant. A BLM ranger who checked their permits remembered them clearly when police interviewed him. He said they had all the right gear, asked intelligent questions about the terrain, showed him their route plan. Professional. Prepared. They weren't thrill seekers, he told investigators. They were the kind of hikers you never worry about. The ones who actually know what they're doing. He watched them head down the trail as the sun began to set. 3 headlamps bobbing in the growing darkness. Sunday evening came. They didn't. April 18th. Morning. The 3 friends begin their trek into the backcountry. The plan's simple. Hike from the access gate northeast through the canyon approaches toward an area they'd scouted on satellite imagery. Sloane had spotted something. A series of circular geological formations that didn't appear on any maps. Perfect for their channel. Camp overnight. Document the findings. Loop back Sunday. 32 kilometers total. For people like them, it's a weekend. It's manageable. It's safe. At approximately 10 a.m., based on GPS data later, recovered from Cordelia's fitness tracker, they're making good time, moving well, staying hydrated, following their planned route. But at 2:47 p.m., something changes. The GPS track shows them veering off course. Not dramatically, just a few degrees northeast, toward something that caught their attention. And then, at 6:47 p.m., the GPS signal stops. Not gradually weakening. Just stops. Like someone flipped a switch. Think about this. It's 2019. GPS satellites orbit the Earth. The technology is reliable, tested, proven. But 3 trackers, Sloane's watch, Cordelia's fitness band, and the GPS unit they carried for navigation, all stopped transmitting at the exact same moment. In different pockets. On different wrists. All dead. Simultaneously. Monday morning. Sloane's sister calls. No response. She calls again. And again. By noon, she's calling the ranger station. By Monday afternoon, the search is on. And here's what they found. Almost nothing. Dogs pick up scents along the planned route and then the scents diverge. Split off toward an area marked on old geological surveys as Echo Mesa. Though modern maps don't use that name, the dogs follow the trail to a series of circular pits carved into the sandstone, perfectly round, descending into darkness. And at the edge of the largest pit, the dogs stop. Not slowed down. Stopped. Sat down. Refused to go further. One of the handlers, 20 years of experience, tells reporters he's never seen anything like it. It wasn't that they lost the scent, he said, voice shaking slightly. They found something that scared them more than their training could override. Dogs don't do that. Not trained search dogs. Not without a damn good reason. Tuesday brings helicopters. Wednesday brings 200 volunteers walking shoulder to shoulder through the canyon, calling out names. Sloane, Cordelia, Rowan. The names echo through the valleys and bounce back empty. Week 2 brings theories: wrong turn, flash flood, animal attack, heat stroke, equipment failure, foul play, murder, you name it, someone suggested it. But every theory hit the same wall. Where was the evidence? No blood. No torn fabric. No abandoned gear. No bodies. No trace. Detective Sarah Chun, 15 years with the National Park Service Investigative Services Branch, looks at cameras during a press conference and you can see it in her eyes. The confusion. The frustration. 3 people, she says slowly, with all their equipment, with GPS trackers, with satellite communication devices in documented terrain, in perfect weather, don't just disappear. It doesn't happen. But it did. By July, the active search is suspended. The families are left with nothing but questions and empty rooms and phones they can't stop checking. Just in case. Summer heat intensifies in the canyon. The case goes cold. And the world moves on. But Echo Mesa? Echo Mesa remembers. January 15, 2025. Nearly 6 years later. Meet Thomas Reeves. 39 years old. Nature photographer. Lives alone in Flagstaff. Spends most of his time chasing light and shadow through the Southwest. The kind of guy who'll wake at 4 a.m. to catch sunrise on a particular rock formation. Who knows the desert like his own face in the mirror. Patient. Methodical. Knows the Grand Canyon's remote regions better than most rangers. That Saturday morning, after an unusual winter flash flood had torn through the canyon system, Thomas is hiking near Whitmore Canyon, about 40 miles east of Echo Mesa. He's looking for a specific shot. Flood debris caught in ancient pictograph sites, that contrast between modern destruction and ancient permanence. He's adjusting his telephoto lens, checking the light meter, when something catches his eye in a pile of fresh silt deposited by the flood waters. A corner of something, black, rectangular, wrong for this environment. He lowers his camera. There, half buried in mud and debris, is a camera. A GoPro in a waterproof case. Thomas's heart rate picks up. You know that feeling when your brain knows something's wrong before it can articulate what? That's happening to him right now. He looks around, suddenly aware of how alone he is. How the canyon walls seem to lean in. How quiet it is despite the recent flood. The case is scratched, weathered, but intact. He can see through the transparent housing. There's an SD card still inside. Now Thomas is a professional. He doesn't touch it immediately. He photographs it in place, documents the location, takes GPS readings. Then he carefully picks it up, places it in his bag. And something makes him look up. Some instinct. Some primal warning system that evolution gave us for moments like this. Across the canyon, maybe 200 meters away, standing on a ridge, a figure. Too far to make out details. Too backlit by the morning sun to see a face. Just a dark silhouette, human-shaped, motionless against the sky. Watching him, Thomas raises his hand in a wave, automatic, friendly gesture. The figure doesn't move, doesn't wave back, just stands there. For maybe 15 seconds, they regard each other across the canyon. And then the figure turns and disappears behind the ridge line. Thomas Reeves has just found the first major piece of evidence in nearly 6 years. And somewhere, deep in his gut, he knows, this is bad. This is really, really bad. By evening, forensic teams are processing the camera. By midnight, they've extracted the SD card. And what they find stops everyone in the room cold. The card is heavily corrupted. Exposure to water, heat, time. But data recovery specialists manage to salvage fragments, pieces, glimpses, 43 video files. Most are partially degraded or completely unrecoverable. But 3 files are intact enough to show something. File 037. Timestamp, April 19, 2019, 6:47 p.m. The video opens on a rocky outcrop. Late afternoon light, that golden hour glow that photographers live for. You can hear their voices off camera. This is incredible. Cordelia's voice. Excited. Sloan, are you seeing this formation? Getting it now. Sloane responds. Rowan, pan left. I want the whole sequence in frame. The camera pans and you see them, circular depressions in the sandstone, perfectly round. 7 of them, decreasing in size, forming a line from northwest to southeast, each one descending into darkness. They look artificial, Rowan says behind the camera, but the geology is wrong for any kind of construction. This is old, really old. Sloane walks to the edge of the largest depression, kneels down. The camera zooms in as she drops a pebble into the hole. They wait and wait. No sound of it hitting bottom. How deep is that? Cordelia whispers. The video cuts to static. File 038. Timestamp. April 19, 2019, 9:34 p.m. Night footage. The grainy quality of low-light recording. They've set up camp near the formations. You can see 2 tents in the background, illuminated by lantern light. But the audio is what makes everyone's skin crawl. A hum, low, persistent, felt more than heard, the kind of frequency that vibrates in your chest. There it is again. Sloane's voice quiet. Nina, you getting this? Recording, Cordelia confirms. 47 hertz. Same as before. 9-second pulses. It's coming from below us, Rowan says. Like the whole mesa is vibrating. And then, clearly audible on the recording, something else. Their own voices, playing back. Not echoes, the delay is wrong for echoes. These are copies. Perfect reproductions of what they just said, but coming from below, from inside the earth 12 seconds after they spoke. What the hell? Sloane breathes. The video cuts to static. File 042. Timestamp. April 20th, 2019, 6:12 p.m. Dusk on their second day. The lighting is strange. The sun has set, but the canyon glows with that reddish luminescence that sometimes happens in the desert. Dust in the air. Electromagnetic effects. Something. The 3 women are standing at the edge of the main depression. Rowan is holding a chemical glow stick. Last test, she says to camera. If this hits water, we'll hear it. If it hits rock, we'll hear it. If it hits nothing. She doesn't finish the sentence. She cracks the glow stick, bright green light, and drops it into the hole. The camera follows it down, down into the darkness. And then, impossibly, it just stops falling. Not hit something. Stops. Suspended in the black void. The green light growing dimmer. Fading. As if something is absorbing it rather than letting it illuminate anything. Did it? Cordelia starts. And then the light is simply gone. Extinguished. As if it never existed. Do you hear it again? Sloane asks, voice tight. Like it's coming from under us. And that's when you hear it on the recording, their voices, all 3 of them, speaking in perfect unison with themselves. Not echoes. Copies. Overlapping with their real voices so precisely it creates a dissonant chorus that shouldn't exist. Cordelia whispers. It's repeating what we say. The video distorts. Heavy static. Audio breaks up into fragments. And then daylight. The same location. But empty. Completely empty. No people, no gear, no tents. Just sandstone and silence and that hole in the earth. Perfectly circular, waiting. The timestamp is corrupted, unreadable. The video ends. Within hours, the investigation explodes back to life. Sunday morning, Detective Chun and a forensic team are on site. Using the GPS data embedded in the recovered footage, they locate the exact outcrop where the videos were filmed. Standing there, seeing those circular depressions with their own eyes. Jesus Christ! One of the investigators whispers. They're real. The formations are exactly as shown in the video. 7 perfect circles descending into darkness. The largest is about 40 feet across. And here's what makes everyone's blood run cold. These formations weren't here during the original search in 2019. Search teams had covered this area, photographed it, mapped it. There were no holes. The Geological Survey confirms it. Satellite imagery from April 2019 shows normal sandstone surface. No depressions. No anomalies. But imagery from May 2019, 3 weeks after the women disappeared, shows the formations clearly, as if the earth had opened up after they vanished. Or because they vanished, a specialized cave rescue team is brought in. They rappel into the main depression using professional equipment, lights, safety protocols. 60 feet down, the hole opens into a massive chamber. Smooth walls, no stalactites, no flowstone, no evidence of water erosion or natural cave formation. Just smooth, slightly curved walls descending into darkness their lights can't penetrate. At the bottom of the first chamber, roughly 90 feet down, they find items. Sloane's notebook, water-damaged but partially readable. Cordelia's broken GPS watch. A lens cap from Rowan's camera. And carved into the smooth stone wall, crude but clear, 3 sets of initials. SWCHRB. The letters are fresh enough that the stone inside hasn't oxidized. Someone carved this recently, but there's no way down deeper. The chamber narrows to gaps too small for humans. The team reports feeling intense disorientation after 30 minutes. Nausea. Auditory hallucinations. One team member claims she heard her daughter calling for her from below. But her daughter is alive, safe at home in Flagstaff. They extract within an hour. 2 members require medical attention for severe vertigo and anxiety attacks. The chamber is sealed. Too dangerous. Too wrong. Sloane's notebook, recovered from the chamber, becomes crucial evidence. The pages are warped, many entries illegible. But forensic document specialists manage to reconstruct portions. The final entries are disturbing. Day 1, 6:30 p.m. Found them. 7 circular depressions, perfectly geometric. Cordelia thinks they're collapse features, but the geology doesn't support it. The rock is solid. These were formed, not collapsed. By what? Day 1, 10:15 p.m. Can't sleep. There's a vibration, subsonic. You feel it more than hear it. 47 hertz according to Cordelia's equipment. Pulses every 9 seconds. Like the mesa is breathing. Rowan recorded it for the channel but says she feels weird about posting it. Says it feels like we're documenting something we shouldn't. Day 2, 6 a.m. The hum stopped at dawn. All 3 of us had the same dream. Falling through darkness but never hitting bottom. Exact same dream. We compared notes. Every detail matched. That's not normal. Day 2, 3:45 p.m. We descended into the main formation. Used climbing gear. Safe protocols. But the chamber below, it's not natural. Walls too smooth. Perfect acoustics. And the echoes are wrong. They come back changed. Delayed but not by distance. 12 seconds no matter where we are in the chamber. Like something is listening first, then responding. Day 2, 4:20 p.m. Cordelia spoke. Said hello. The chamber responded 12 seconds later. Her exact voice. Her exact intonation. But she wasn't speaking. We were all silent. It's not an echo. It's a playback. Something is recording us. Day 2, 6:30 p.m. Tested with glow stick. Fell and then just stopped. Suspended. Like it hit something we can't see. Something that absorbed it. Rowan wants to go down further tomorrow. I said no. Cordelia agrees. We're leaving at first light. The final entry is barely legible, written in shaky handwriting. Day 2, 9:30 p.m. It's not an echo. Something listening. Copies us word for word, but only when we stop talking. And now it's using our voices when we're silent. Hearing myself speak when my mouth is closed. We're leaving now, not waiting for dawn. This place isn't right. This place is. The entry cuts off mid-sentence. There are no entries for day 3. No indication they ever left. The investigation expands. Researchers dig into historical records, indigenous history, geological surveys, and they find something. Echo Mesa, though it doesn't appear on modern maps, has a history. Hopi oral traditions describe the area as forbidden. A place where the earth listens and the earth responds. Young members of the tribe were warned never to speak loudly near certain formations. Never to camp near the breathing stones. A 1934 geological survey mentions unusual acoustic properties in the Toroweap region. The surveyor, a man named William Ashford, noted circular depressions of unknown origin, but recommended the area be avoided due to persistent disorientation experienced by his team. His handwritten notes, discovered in archives at the University of Arizona, contain a disturbing entry. We hear ourselves speaking when we are silent. The formations repeat our words but alter them slightly, as if learning our speech. My men refuse to return to the site. I do not blame them. Some places are not meant for human presence. In 1958, 2 college students from Arizona State went missing during a camping trip in the area. Never found. Case went cold. In 1976, a family of 4 vanished. Only their vehicle recovered. In 1989, a solo hiker, experienced, prepared, gone. In 2003, 2 Bureau of Land Management surveyors disappeared while conducting routine mapping. All in the same 10-square-mile area surrounding Echo Mesa. All unsolved. Detective Chen sits in her office, case files spread across her desk, and realizes something horrifying. They're not looking at an isolated incident. They're looking at a pattern spanning decades. And those circular formations? Ground-penetrating radar shows they appear and disappear, opening and closing over time like something breathing. June 2025. 6 months after the camera was found. Park rangers receive a report from a hiker at Echo Mesa. 3 women, he says, late 20s, matching the description of Sloan, Cordelia, and Rowan. Same gear, same clothing, walking toward a circular depression that wasn't there yesterday. The hiker tried to call out to them, to warn them the area was unstable. But his voice wouldn't carry. It just fell flat in the air, absorbed by something unseen. By the time rangers arrive, less than 2 hours later, the area is empty. No people, no gear, no tents. But there are 3 sets of fresh footprints in the dust, leading to the edge of that new, perfectly circular sinkhole. Size 7, size 6, and size 8. Matching the boot sizes of Sloan, Cordelia, and Rowan. No prints leading away. None. At the bottom of the depression, barely visible in the growing darkness, something glows faintly. Green. Like a chemical light stick. The case remains open. The FBI has classified most of their findings. The circular depressions continue to appear and disappear across Echo Mesa, following that same northwest to southeast pattern, like footprints, like something beneath the earth is moving, searching, or perhaps waiting. Sloan's sister maintains the Trail 3 YouTube channel, posting updates, sharing the evidence, keeping their memory alive. But she refuses to go to Echo Mesa. She's been asked. Documentaries have offered to fund trips. She always says the same thing. Some places aren't meant to call back. And some things you should never answer. They called it Echo Mesa because everything calls back. eventually. The question is, when it does, will it still be using your voice? Or will it be using the voices of 3 women who walked into the desert 6 years ago and never walked out?